But I can shed some light on some things that John Cena's comments about WrestleMania coming there. And it's kind of funny. He kind of kayfabed a little bit because his playing character was referring to the powers that be in the back, as in Triple H, Vince McMahon, the people in the back who may not want WrestleMania to be in London because of their attitudes towards wrestlers and how they act and how they steal the show and that kind of stuff. But I say he kayfabed that because he was actually out there to speak to the powers that be and to kind of talk to the powers that be, but not necessarily those powers that be. Rumors and there's some people that have spoken about this. So John Cena came out there and said what he said because as we talk about wrestling in the landscape today, and Cody Rhodes has even said it before about how people used to joke about, back in like 1998, 1999, cities bidding for WrestleMania, which wasn't something that happened. But today it really is. Today, cities bid for these events. And shedding some light onto why maybe Clash at the Castle went to Cardiff last year and not to London was because Cardiff forked over some money. We know for a fact that Backlash went to Puerto Rico because the Puerto Rican Tourism Committee forked over $1 million to WWE to bring Backlash in. WrestleMania is obviously bid on every single year. So when John Cena was talking, he wasn't necessarily talking about Vince McMahon and Triple H. He was kayfabe talking about them. But the powers that be he was talking about were the people in London and United Kingdom government. See, the thing is in London, and I could see it myself while I was there, they don't like to fork over money to bring in events because I can see firsthand they're not going to see the revenue. If WrestleMania comes to London, they're not going to see the money because they already see the money. I can promise you, I've been to New York City for WrestleMania weekend. It doesn't look a lick bit busier than it does any other day of the week. You could go to New York City for Super Bowl weekend, and I can promise you, you will not see one difference in New York City Super Bowl weekend at MetLife Stadium than you would regular everyday New York City. That's just the nature of the beast there. So London is the same way. So London says, why fork over $1 million to bring WWE into Wembley Stadium when we can already have, at that night Money in the Bank was there, Motley Crue and Def Leppard were at Wembley Stadium. They didn't have to fork over money to them. They sold out Wembley Stadium. Friday, 30,000 plus were at Hyde Park in London to see Guns N' Roses, which, like I said, I saw people with Guns N' Roses t-shirts like I was at WrestleMania weekend. I mean, everyone and anyone had Guns N' Roses shirts on. So the point is they feel that they don't need to fork over the money like the other cities because you should be privileged to go there. We're not going to see – we're not Tupelo, Mississippi. People are coming to London. If anything, you know what I mean, you might take up some hotel rooms for wrestling fans, which would pay less money than hotel rooms for, other different sports. So you might be costing us some money because we might be able to bring in a higher quality act than WrestleMania, for example. But WrestleMania wants to go to London, and WrestleMania wants that money, and they necessarily don't want to do it for free if some other city is going to pay them. So essentially, they're trying to get the money out of London and out of England to bring WrestleMania there. And this was a way to kind of bring it forward. It's the same as saying, hey, kids, I'd love to take you out with ice cream, but it's your mom over here who says we can't. And then all of a sudden, what, Mom? You're the reason? What? Yeah, I'm trying. I'd love to take you. I'd love to bring you out to ice cream, kids, but Mom over here says we can't go. You should yell at Mom. So that's essentially what John Cena was doing. John Cena says, we want WrestleMania here. I want WrestleMania in London, but there's some people here who don't. Maybe they – and then obviously as things go, politicians, they don't want to be looked at as the bad guys. They know a lot of things from the America – don't come over that often, and when they do, they're very special. So it's a chance for people to look away from WWE and stop blaming WWE for not coming over and start blaming their own people for not coming over, and then putting the pressure on politicians and people in local government so that they say, fine, we'll fork over the $1 million to make you happy or whatever it costs to bring WrestleMania.
Well, yeah, I mean, politicians do that anyways. It doesn't matter what country you're in. I mean, if they know that they're going to get the votes by essentially getting like a WWE or some other type of event to come to their city, they're going to do it, especially because they don't want any negative press if they're an elected official. Now, here's the other thing too, and you make a good point about the money. Now, the other part that I was thinking about too, as you were saying that, is how many people from all over the world are going to come there? I mean, like to me, like if you're in the UK or even in like other parts of Europe, I mean, you know what, you were just there. Once you're over there, it's not that hard to really get around to different parts of the Europe. So my thing is, how much are they really going to make anyways? Because a lot of these regular, like folks from Paris, for example, they're just going to take the bullet train, so to speak, and go back and forth like they normally do. So like, how much money are they really going to bring in from outside, outside of Europe? So I could see why the UK people could maybe, maybe we don't want to do it, because how many people? I mean, I know there's going to be people from other countries like the United States, other countries that are not in Europe, for example, that are going to go there. But like what I've seen, and you've been to many WrestleManias. How many people? You see a ton of people from Europe that are coming here to catch WrestleMania or any other big event. So when you bring it over there, like, do you think the United States audience is going to be like, well, we usually have it here all the time, so like, why would I want to fly 8 hours to do something that I've seen here before, every other time? So it's kind of a give and take, but I think John Cena, you're on to something there. I think he was maybe throwing shade at both WWE officials that maybe were on board 100%, and also the officials of the UK, or the London officials on the political side. So what he's trying to do is he's trying to poke both bears to make them not, so they're like, okay, we're going to give in because we don't want to look bad. And I think it will do well, because the folks in Europe, and like you said, they made a lot. Like WWE just made a big chunk of change just being over there for that show. So bringing the whole party, so to speak, of WrestleMania to a big city like London, they're going to still make good money from all the locals that are in London, or even in other countries around Europe that are not that far away.
I will say one thing, too, is obviously the conversion rate to American dollars helps the United States when it comes to making money. Obviously, when I was over there spending money, it wasn't in my favor. But the fact that the tickets prices in pounds were similar to the ticket prices you see here in the United States in dollars. The difference is, obviously, a pound is worth more than a dollar. So if, WrestleMania, for example, tickets, and it might shock you to believe this, but tickets for WrestleMania start at $55. You can get into WrestleMania if you get them the day they go on sale, and stuff like that, and you want an upper deck seat. You can get it, and maybe only for one day, but you can get into one day of WrestleMania, upper deck, maybe obstructed view a little bit for about $55. That's what they start at. Obviously, you have the $1,000 seats as well. But so $55 is what they start at. And I think at Money in the Bank, $55 or £55 is what they started at as well, right? So ticket prices were similar. They were like $55 to get in the door, $100 for, the first row of the upper deck, $200 down low, $600-700 on the floor, stuff like that. The difference is, though, it was in pounds, which converts to higher. Obviously, I went to a pound store, quote unquote, a dollar store when I was there, and had all the same items we have at the dollar store here, except for a pound is about $1.50 instead of $1.
Well, I just pull it up on the internet. So currently, as of today, so if you're going to spend £55 in the UK for dollar purposes, you're spending $70.
So WWE is getting that as revenue. So if the cheapest ticket, so if they advertise on the board says, like SummerSlam, for example, the big advertisement for SummerSlam says tickets starting at $25. And for Payback, even the tickets just went on sale for Pittsburgh. Tickets started at $25 plus fees and stuff, but tickets started at $25 to get in the door until those ones are sold out. Because WWE at its core is an affordable product. If I can get my hands on Money in the Bank tickets, they were affordable when they went on sale to get in the door. So let's say tickets start at £50 for WrestleMania, right? Instead of $50, right? Well, like you said, that's $70. So the get-in price, the money that WWE is going to be making for the cheapest ticket there is $70 versus actually $55. So they're going to be making more money. Any 1,000-pound seat they sell, they're making £1,500 instead of $1,000.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, per dollar. So for every American dollar, it only equates to a 79 cents in pound. So that's
typically, in America, if they sold the same seats at the same dollar price and they made, I don't know, like 1.6 million in revenue, they're going to make like 2.9 million in revenue if that's the same equivalent in pounds. So there is that opportunity for WWE to make more money just based on that conversion. Like I said, they were selling tickets for like T-shirts, for example. T-shirts here at events are $35. T-shirts there were 35 pounds. Well, 35 pounds is like $45. So they were making a few more bucks. Obviously, at the end of the day, they brought home maybe, like I said, 1 million pounds. Like they probably at Puerto Rico, they probably brought home $1 million, right? And in Money in the Bank, they brought in 1 million pounds. But in conversion, they made more money based on that. But I think it would sell out. I think it would be gangbusters. And I do have to say, I felt a little bad. So I went to obviously a watch party to watch Money in the Bank live. And, the crowd was rabid. And I felt a little bad for some of the people that were in the crowd or at the pub because of the fact that this is finally an event in their city. And they can't even go. That's how in demand this was. A lot of people had Clash at the Castle shirts and stuff like that, and they couldn't even go. Could you imagine if your favorite band always travel in Japan, always travel in China, once in your lifetime they come over to the United States, they're playing Syracuse, New York, and you can't even go because it's in such high demand. That's what it is for some of these people. Yeah, these people, I didn't feel so bad that I didn't get in the Money in the Bank. I'm glad I got into the arena. I got to experience the Money in the Bank crowd essentially at the O2 Arena for SmackDown. It was a very good SmackDown, the same arena, the same setup. So I got like Money in the Bank liked, if you will. I got, you know what I mean? And I got to see a tag team championship match and some superstars that weren't on Money in the Bank. So I went to Money in the Bank light, right? But I didn't feel so bad because I know that, SummerSlam comes around next month. I'm going to get to go to that. I'll get to go to anything else, in the next couple months. Well, these people in Europe, they don't get that option. It's here. It's now. It's in your city, and you still have to watch it at a bar. But I will say one final factoid on the WrestleMania, I guess, in London, and one thing that I found of interest. So on the plane home, obviously I was sleeping a lot on the plane home, even though it was quote unquote daytime. But I did get a chance to talk to the person who was sitting next to me, not the person who was sitting 2 rows in front of me, Drake Maverick. Didn't talk to him much. But the person who was sitting next to me, the head of the ring crew, the ring manager for WWE, was sitting next to me, and we had a discussion. He does all the TV shows, and we had a discussion about bringing the stuff over. I've always been curious. We always were used to seeing the tractor trailers lining up around the arenas, right? And we're thinking about WrestleMania in the future. And Triple H made a comment during the press conference. It's more than just the talent; it's all the people. Well, one thing I don't believe they'd have to bring over is ring gear. The ring, the setup, the equipment, the speakers, all that stuff. While WWE is very specific in the United States and tractor trailers it around the country, a lot of it in London. Most of it in London were there. The ring was there. In fact, a little factoid he gave me is if you were to rewatch Money in the Bank, he tells me that the ring mats around the ring, some of them are different colors based on the fact that, something to do with shipping, not shipping, but they ordered them ahead of time and some order thing went wrong. But all the stuff's already over there. So they didn't have to drive or fly the ring from New York to London. The ring, the lighting, the sound, that was already in London. It's already stored there. Huh. So that doesn't need to be put on a cargo ship and brought over, in case you're wondering. In case WrestleMania was to come in the future, you're not going to see them putting a tractor trailer on a boat and driving it, across the Atlantic to set up for WrestleMania. So, when Triple H says all the things that go into it, one aspect of when they go over there is they have stuff over there already. So that's one thing that they don't.
It's like anything else, though. I feel like if you're WWE and you're a global company, you're a globally traded company, you're probably gonna have connections all over the world. Okay, hey, I'm coming to Italy, at this date. I need this, and this. Can you get it between now and then? And they'll say yes, great, okay. And then obviously what you said was there's the different colors of the mats. So that that was obviously an order issue, but guess what? They made it work, and obviously it was safe and everything. So I get it. I don't I kind of figured that's how they did it, is they had it sourced all over the world. So wherever country they're in, they have their local connects there or local companies that they do business with, and say, hey, I know you're a wrestling company. Can you get us this, this, and this? So we're all set up. So. That doesn't surprise me, but it was cool that you got to interact with somebody who has the inside baseball, because we've all speculated about it. We don't work the ring crew, so that's cool that you got a chance to sit there and talk to somebody from the ring side of things, like the people that don't get the recognition but do a lot of the heavy lifting. It's cool to hear their perspective and it confirms what I thought all along is they're just getting the stuff locally sourced.